Hey, Eagle Investors, Quant Script clients. Thanks for coming today. We're going to get started and just talk about the pro tips and an in-depth history lesson and tutorial about these quantitative trading scripts. I know a lot of people have upgraded to these quant trading scripts with us lately, and we're really happy to be able to release these after a long time actually developing them, refining them. I'm really excited to talk about each one of the 3 scripts that are contained in the bundle in depth today, and first give you the context as to how we've created them, when we created them, and then we're going to work into pro tips regarding each script, and we're going to do some live analysis for a live tutorial. So again, this is a January 7th, 2026. So welcome to 2026, and this is the most up-to-date quant script pro tips and tutorial starting now. The session is also recorded, so if you're watching it back, feel free to stop, pause, and go to any time in the video that you'd like. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. As you see on my screen right now, I'm at tradingview.com. When it comes to the quant scripts, this is pretty self-explanatory. I know it's on the website upon purchase and upon demo, but you have to have a TradingView account. You don't necessarily have to have a pro account to access the scripts, although we do recommend, if you are looking for live data, to consider like a premium or a pro account, so you can have multiple indicators. It's not essential to use the bundle, although usually people who do have the premium and the pro on TradingView and use that as their primary charting platform would usually be the most interested in this product. So with that in mind, I know I use TradingView primarily for all of my charting. I use different brokerages like Charles Schwab, Thinkorswim, Tastyworks, Robinhood for execution and analysis. But usually my main analysis platforms these days are TradingView for technical analysis and also fundamental analysis. And then we also are using things like Quant Data and some other things for option flow and trading ticks and the other resources that we have on Discord as well, such as the unusual flows. But with that in mind, we're going to talk about TradingView today, which is where all the scripts are contained. As you see on my screen right now, these are the 3 scripts that we have. We have the first script here, which is the Eagle Algo V6. And it stands for V6 because we are on our 6th iteration of it. We have some old versions here. Right now, all of the scripts are coded in a coding language called PineScript, which is a unique coding language native to TradingView. And with that in mind, PineScript allows you to code different types of indicators on price using different indicators and indicator fusion, as well as different types of target setting fusion as well. Again, they're all coded in PineScript. And right now, PineScript is version 6. So not only is this the 6th version of Eagle Investors, Eagle Algo, but this is the compatible PineScript for PineScript V6 version. I know they used to have PineScript V4, V5. The original Eagle Algo was written, I believe, on like PineScript V3, I believe. And so we've updated it for V4, V5, V6, and it is now compatible with PineScript V6 and has had multiple iterations of improvements. So I just want to be very clear and upfront about how old that indicator really is. That indicator was first invented here at Eagle Investors in, I believe, 2020 to 2021, and is to get to where we are today. So that's very important background on the Eagle Algo. So that's our first indicator that's contained in the script. This is an older indicator that's been updated for the newest version of PineScript, and we have some new improvements that we'll go through. The second indicator, we'll talk about this one here. This is for actually day traders. So usually the Eagle Algo can be used for day traders, but it's good for swing traders, investors. Actually, depending on how you toggle, it could be for anybody. But this one, the multi-confluence momentum scalper, is the second quant script indicator coded in PineScript. This is a newer indicator that was coded between a team effort between Eva, myself, and Michael. We've all worked together to get to this multi-confluence momentum scalper indicator, which again is targeted for scalpers and day traders. And if you just click on these scripts, we can actually share this. We share this with people under our account here, Eagle Guardian Investor. Under indicators and strategies, under scripts, you can read this. We also send this to you when you upgrade the package here as to the explanation. Let's just go under multi-confluence momentum scalper. You can click the indicator here. It'll give you a little bit more information about Eagle Investors, and obviously we have our educational use disclaimer, but we have key features as well. It talks to you a little bit about how we've created this. So we're using a multi-confluence fusion between complex technical indicators such as Ichimoku Cloud, Bollinger Bands, MACD, RSI, ADX. We have bar close confirmation to avoid false and repainting signals. And we also are very proud to present this precision engineered trading view indicator that blends a lot of these real-time momentum methodologies. So there's a little bit of background on this. Again, this is for day traders, and we'll go through a little bit more. This is the multi-confluence momentum scalper. Whenever you hear the word scalper, right, that means usually shorter term, usually intraday, right? Not multi-day, but intraday. And really, we recommend using the multi-confluence momentum scalper on time frames as short as the 1 minute, the 3 minute, the 30-second. It has been used on the 5 minute and the 15 minute as well. But I would say it's actually the most useful on really like the 30-second to 3 minute time frames, which are very intraday focused. I don't know any swing traders personally that are using 30-second or 1 minute charts. I know a lot of scalpers though that are. So this is who the target audience is for the momentum scalper indicator. Again, all of us here at Eagle Investors have engineered this through precision and through trial and error. We've also used back testing upon creating these indicators to test it on different assets over time and seeing what the win rate is. And we only release them when we are satisfied with whether it's a day trader or a swing trader indicator. So let's go back here just one more time on Eagle Algo V6. You can also click on that one as we displayed here. This is just showing on like Zscaler right here. And if you go here, it can, it talks to you a little bit about the introduction for Eagle Algo. I gave you some details on that as well. It also speaks about target price setting. There's super trend style calculation, which is in the Eagle Algo, and there's some other things as well, like Ichimoku clouds and some other complex technical indicators that are contained here. Some of you maybe be interested in like the source code. You can obviously go into that in some cases here and look. Maybe you're interested in PineScript. Obviously, this is what we've custom coded and improved over a long period of time, and that's how this works. Is it's through code and quantitative trading. So with that in mind, the last indicator, which maybe best for last here, is one of my personal favorites. It's actually probably what I would classify as my personal favorite. Looks like a lot of traction on this one, especially since it's recent released here. This is the last and the third quant script that is within the bundle. It's the Eagle Investors Contrarian Momentum Indicator. Again, Contrarian Momentum. It also says plus fixed S/R. That stands for support and resistance. I know that's very important for a lot of traders. I often trade off of like demand and supply levels, or support and resistance is how I think that it boils down to technically. So this automatically draws those support and resistance lines for you, which are very useful for all traders, but also has a contrarian momentum tint. And this was, again, developed more recently. It was developed over the last year and a half by Eagle Investors team members, specifically Michael and myself, specifically targeting swing traders. It can also be used intraday, although I really use it for swing trading, and I also really use it for investing. So this is a very interesting quantitative trading and investing script for contrarian momentum. And this word, contrarian, is one of my favorite words when it comes to trading and investing. We've made a lot of money in the past with a contrarian view. Sometimes it doesn't work as well. Obviously, no guarantees, but contrarian is definitely one of my favorite mentalities, where when the stock is going down, maybe you'll be more interested in buying the dip. And when there's a lot of greed in the market on the flip side and it's more expensive, maybe that's the time to take your profit, or maybe even to sell the market. So it's not always perfect, but this is a trading tool designed to teach users how to identify contrarian market opportunities using different momentum indicators and fix things. So there's RSI, MACD, volume confirmation, other things like sentiment extremes, divergence patterns, and oversold, overbought conditions, which could be correlated to RSI, right? But those are all coded in here, and it's not as simple as, okay, yeah, the stock's going up and indicators look bullish, so you should buy or sell. It really is trying to do the opposite of what the common man would look at based off of price action, which can be one of the most difficult things to do with trading. So this is a very exciting indicator that actually, in my opinion, from what I've done for the research and what I've seen also in the field, a lot of quants that trade off of quant indicators often have contrarian methodologies. Not every quant script, but those can be very interesting and almost robotic scripts that are very useful in this day and age. So with that in mind, that's the three scripts, and we currently have another script that's under development, which I'm not going to disclose right now. I'm not going to make any promises, but that one's really focused on SPX trading specifically, and Eva is assisting and working with that SPX one. That's going to be kind of centered just on SPX. But for now, we have Eagle Algo. which is for day traders, investors. It can also be used for swing traders a lot. Target setting, level creation. This is our old school script that's been updated. Then you have the day trader scalper script only, momentum confluence, momentum scalper, and then the third, best for last, is the Eagle Investors contrarian momentum plus fixed SR. So if you were to upgrade to the quant script, that's what you get access to. How it works, and how many of you already understand this, how it works is that we'll request your TradingView username. So you have to create a TradingView account. You can do it for free. You just go to tradingview.com, create your account, and we'll go ahead and ask your username. Once we receive your username after you've upgraded, then we will share the access with you, which has to be done manually. There's no automation behind that. So if there's a little leeway time, it's just because our team is processing your order and upgrading you and doing the cybersecurity there to make sure that all of that is done properly, and your information abides by our privacy policy as well. So all of that is taken care of when you upgrade. So once you get to TradingView and you've received these scripts or whatever scripts you're looking at, what you're going to want to do is you're going to go to like the home screen here. I obviously have a watch list that I've created. It's kind of the dark theme. You can see a couple of the markets and the market summary. Even if you just go to the home page, right, which I think is currently this, where it allows you to go and look at different types of international markets, different types of cryptocurrencies, different types of community ideas. All you have to do is click the search bar. And in the search bar, you can search any type of ticker that you want. I mean, let's just start with NVIDIA, for example. NVIDIA, the largest market cap currently in the market, very important for a lot of the major indices, of course. So this is a good place for us to start. Why don't we just go ahead and reduce some of the clutter? If you are looking to kind of toggle your initial TradingView setup, I do recommend watching our YouTube video called TradingView Setup for Eagle Investors. That will be linked in the description to this video, and we'll be providing that as well. So if you're just setting up TradingView for the first time, make sure to start there. You could pause this video and go watch that video, set up your TradingView properly, and then you can go ahead and begin on this video. I'm now going to assume that you've already changed your theme to a dark theme, right? If you prefer dark theme, and you've kind of updated it to your preferences. With that in mind, you should be looking at kind of what I'm looking at right now. Right now you could go on maybe the daily chart on NVIDIA. Again, it's January 7, 2026. So NVIDIA is at a price of $189 a share. And with that in mind, what you're going to do, because the Eagle Quant Scripts are indicators, right? And they're indicator fusion, you're going to click indicators, this button right here. Everybody should have it. Once you click the indicators button, you'll have the indicators, metrics, and strategies pop up. Under the indicators, metrics, and strategies pop up, you will then see a couple sidebar options. Favorites, my scripts, invite only, purchase, technicals, fundamentals. You're going to want to go under invite only because you've been invited only here to the private Eagle Quant Script bundle. Under invite only, you'll see 3 scripts. I know you see 4 scripts here. This is just because it's the master account with the old version of the Eagle Algo. But you'll see the following. You'll see the ones that are starred here. You'll see the Eagle Algo V6, the contrarian momentum indicator, and the multi-confluence momentum scalper indicator. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and start just how we started with the main ones. We'll start with the Eagle Algo. So all you have to do once you see it under invite only, which once you've upgraded, you will see these under the proper account, you will click the indicator. All it takes is 1 click. It can take a little bit of time to process, a little bit of time to load, and you should see the back populate, just like you just saw right there, where we saw kind of some gold that came up here and some red and some colors. Obviously, something happened to your chart much more than even just drawing a line, right? So that means obviously the Eagle Algo has been activated. If you do look here, you can see Eagle Algo is really gold. Obviously, Eagle Investors is gold. That's one of our company colors here. So, going with the company colors, gold is the new green pretty much here. And there's obviously green there as well, but gold is there in place of green. Red is there for things like stop losses and different types of sell signals, right? And then gold is more of a buy signal. So that's just the color, that's what you're going to see. And then, there's a couple things that you'll notice just right off the bat, right? You'll see that there's a buy signal that came in here on NVIDIA. It's not going to always show that way. It depends on what ticker you're looking at. It depends on the timing of the ticker that you're looking at, right? Because everything in the market is going to be ever evolving and different. But as of today at 1:26 p.m. here, we are looking at NVIDIA, and there's a bullish signal here on the what is this? Is this the daily chart? Yeah, so that's an interesting daily chart. I think that's a pretty important one for swing traders, investors, anybody actually in the market probably should be looking at maybe something like the NVIDIA daily chart to understand what's going on. And we currently have a bullish tag with a buy signal off of a pretty nice green candle that came in with an entry at about 189. an automatic take profit 1, take profit 2, take profit 3, automatically set at 192.99, 196.78, and 256. A stop loss, which is set, which is pretty tight compared to how lofty those 2 and 3 price targets get to, right? It's a little bit of a tighter stop loss there at 185.43. And it looks like there's currently a trade that is recommended actually from the Eagle Algo here on NVIDIA, although it's risky, right? And NVIDIA is going to go up and down with news and China and the US and Taiwan and manufacturing and production and demand and new products. So not discounting the fundamentals behind the stock. Technically, the Eagle Algo is actually showing a pretty sound and nice setup for a trade here. I think a lot of traders, whether you're looking at the Eagle Algo or not, would look at that as like a bull flag. So if you want to take the indicator off now, you just click the indicator. I recommend clicking one of these things like the take profit or the stop loss or the bullish indicator, and it'll kind of put up these lines like you've essentially clicked and highlighted it. And all you have to do is click the backspace or the delete button on your keypad, right? So what I'm going to do here, now I want to take the indicator off since we put it on. We're going to click it. We're going to click it wherever we can, right? And we're going to want to see these lines like it's been selected. And we're going to click backspace or delete. And then it's going to get back where you are. So I recommend if you just got into this and you're on TradingView and custom scripts for the first time, do this a couple of times if it's your first time, right? And just click indicators, go to invite only, click the script that you want, right? And in this case, we're going to do the Eagle Algo V6. You'll see it populate, right? It could take a little bit of time. If it's the first time activating it, especially the first time of the day, the code has to work, right? It's instructing the indicators to do something very special, and it does do this. So then you can click it and you can click delete or backspace, and you'll be able to take the indicator off. So those are just the basics there. Another very important piece of the puzzle here, and the 3 things that I would say are the most important here, and I'll just write these down, is you're going to have number 1, you're going to have ticker, then you're going to have time frame, and then you're going to have number 3, sensitivity. Okay, so those are the 3 things when you're talking about the Eagle Algo, right? So the overarching here is Eagle Algo V6, which is maybe say script number 1 out of 3 in the bundle, right? Because there's 3 scripts in the bundle. This is Eagle Algo V6, and then there's 3 important things. There's ticker, time frame, and sensitivity. So we already talked about ticker, right? If you go back to TradingView, right, there's so many tickers in the market, right? But whether you're looking at something like Bitcoin or you're looking at something like JP Morgan or you're looking at something like Meta, right? There's different tickers that you can go on, right? Which is what I would recommend you kind of explore and investigate once you get access to these. Why don't we go look at something like another ticker, like almost like a different asset? We could look at some alternative assets like Bitcoin, or we could look at gold or silver. But why don't we just look at Bitcoin for now? We can also look at the stock market as well. We're looking at NVIDIA. So NVIDIA had a nice setup. Let's just look at the Eagle Algo here. If you're already on Eagle Algo and you open up a brand new chart, it'll likely already populate. Again, whenever you see the gold, that means Eagle Algo. So, you can remove it, right? We can look at Bitcoin. We're looking at the Bitcoin on the daily chart here, right? It's been going down lately, down. A lot of people expecting maybe a reversal, or not sure, could continue to go down. So we're not really sure. Let's clean it up here on Bitcoin. Let's go employ now the indicator under invite only, right? Start Eagle Algo V6. We'll click this on Bitcoin. Oh, very interesting on Bitcoin here on the daily, where there's a sell signal right at the top, not much gold in there, right? Pretty nasty sells, people may be shorting. That's since October of 2025. Now we're here, the year of 2026 just began, right? So maybe you're watching this in 3-6 months or a couple of years. I know we have some videos that see audiences for years, but we'll see where Bitcoin goes. There is a bit of a buy signal coming in here, and it's actually labeled as bullish. So just kind of like it just flipped, right? It was bearish for a long time there in Bitcoin, but a buy signal came off. There's obviously some support. Yeah, that looks like an interesting setup, but regardless, that's just another ticker, right? There's not exactly entry and take profit levels that are shown here on the daily, but maybe we could go to like the 2-day. Okay, that's not ticking bullish yet, but let's try the 4-hour maybe. Let's look at the 4-hour. A 4-hour actually looks a little bit bearish. So, even though it's bullish on the daily, maybe there's a short trade in the short term. Bitcoin's a very ever-evolving asset, right? So, it depends on what type of asset you're looking at, and then also what time frame you're looking at, which is number 2, right? So as you saw, I swapped between the daily chart, the 2-day chart, and the 4-hour chart, and it gave me a different setup, right? So even though on the daily here for Bitcoin, we're getting a bullish indicator. So it's saying, you know, maybe buy this asset, own Bitcoin here at 91K. It could go up to maybe reclaim 100,000, or maybe, you know, it was at the highs at 125,000. So, you know, no guarantees, but that looks like an interesting longer term setup there for Bitcoin. But on the shorter term setups, it actually on the hourly and the 4-hour, depending on what time frame, which again is the second thing other than ticker, you know, it looks actually maybe a little bit more bearish in the short term. There's some sellers in it just today, right? So if you're a more active trader, maybe you're not just investing into Bitcoin and diversifying yourself with Bitcoin in the longer term, which if you are, you know, maybe the daily, the 2-day, the weekly, maybe that's what you want to look at. But if you're a more dynamic swing trader, you know, maybe you're looking at just some short-term downside here, and on the different time frame, although it's on the same ticker, right? You might get a different setup, which is a really interesting setup where there's a sell signal, you know, shorting. It's actually down from where that short signal came in, but it's not really at the take profit levels. But if Bitcoin were to fall in the short term back towards 89, 87, 86,000, I know we're expecting like a Supreme Court decision there on Friday about the tariffs. Who knows? Bitcoin could, you know, I know there's the Venezuela situation about maybe a seizure for Bitcoin as well. Who knows what's going to happen for Bitcoin? But in the short term, technically, there might be a little bit of a sell signal in there. So maybe it comes down, but in the longer term, as it does come down, anything under 90, that's where you should probably buy it because it does look still bullish. So again, it depends on what ticker you go on to, whether you're looking at NVIDIA or whether you're looking at Bitcoin. Right, the NVIDIA and Bitcoin dailies are giving different setups. NVIDIA is obviously giving a take profit bullish setup. Bitcoin's also giving a bullish setup, although not clearly about signals, maybe a little bit more of a macro setup there. And then time frame, depending on if you're looking at Bitcoin on the hourly or the 4-hour, which is actually leaning a little bit more short-term bearish with the short-term price action, the momentum going against Bitcoin here. You know, that's another thing that could change the view of what you're looking at, right? So if you have a Bitcoin trade on, say you're trading IBIT puts or something like that on a registered product, and you're looking at options or something like that, or you're shorting it, maybe this is the setup that you want to look at, but maybe you're actually long-term buying it or something like that, or you're looking at something like that, maybe you'll look at the daily, right? So it doesn't really matter what ticker or what time frame you're looking at. You want to get to the setup that is what your underlying thesis is looking for. And if you're looking for the algo to like give you a underlying thesis, you know, you could also start here. It depends on your approach. Like, you know, say you're not, you know, you're wondering, okay, what should I do with NVIDIA, right? It's actually telling you, okay, buy the dip, right? And then research, why would somebody be bullish on NVIDIA? And why would somebody think you could buy it at 189 and sell it at 200, right? Go read some reports from like Morgan Stanley, or maybe some of our reports from Eagle Investors and the Stock Growth channel. Right. So if you have that underlying thesis, you can go ahead and move forward with the tickers and the timeframes. The last point here for the Eagle Algo V6 is the sensitivity. I've spoken about this on some previous streams, but I think I want to do a deep dive right now about sensitivity. Sensitivity is one of the main differentiators between how you can kind of customize the Eagle Algo beyond just ticker and time frame. You can customize sensitivity. So in order to access the sensitivity, which is one of the only things that you'll ever have to do other than adjusting ticker and time frame for Eagle Algo, is you'll double click. So rather than just single clicking when you want to delete it, you'll actually take it and you'll double click it. And when you double click it, you'll have a pop-up, Eagle Algo V6 pop-up with inputs, style, and visibility, right? So if you want to change the colors, you can always do that. Obviously, these are our default colors. If you want to change the visibility, you can obviously play with that. I actually don't recommend messing with the visibility. You can mess with the colors if you want for the style, just don't mess with any of the above or below bar or anything like that. The inputs is where you can also customize if you want to really do a deep dive into customizing the indicator on the screen that you want. I know a lot of more advanced traders are playing with different types of stop loss percentages and CMO length and things like that. You feel free to mess with that. I really recommend starting off, if you're going to adjust only anything, it's again double clicking the indicator wherever it allows you to, and then under input sensitivity right here, it gives you a range between 0.5 to 2.5. The default value is 2. Sometimes it'll default you to like 1 or 1.5. I recommend you check that. If you're looking at Eagle Algo, I really usually use it at 2 these days. Although I will, when I'm looking at different types of setups, I'll adjust it to being like at 1. So what I'll do is I double click it. I get into inputs here. You'll see sensitivity at 2, right? You can actually use the sidebar. You can toggle it between 1.5, or you can just delete it and type whatever you want. Again, I would recommend within the range of 0.5 to 2.5, and you can go between a 2 and a 1. So when we decrease the sensitivity, maybe it's not as strong as a buy signal here on NVIDIA. Let's go look at Bitcoin here. So we're getting a bearish setup at a 2 sensitivity. Let's look at a 1 sensitivity here. Does that change anything? It just kind of bumps it around a little bit. You could see obviously like the take profit levels went, they were adjusted. They were adjusted. This is an interesting setup because the stop loss is now above kind of the resistance. The take profit one is close, although this is an interesting setup. So it depends, like whether you're like, say you're trying to short Bitcoin right now, and you're looking at the sensitivity, like this is the 2 sensitivity, right? And then let's double click. Let's adjust here. Let's go to 1 sensitivity, and you have to click OK. So you'll click OK, and then it should adjust for you here. Yeah, it'll adjust, right? And if you want to adjust again, you can go here to 2, click OK, and it will adjust. So depending on the setup that you want to do, if you have a really nice setup that you like, right? Like I like that NVIDIA setup, right? I like that NVIDIA setup at 2, right? It was providing us with a bullish buy setup, bull flag, saying it's going to go to 200, right? So that looks good, but let's now investigate it maybe on some other time frames too, like the 4 hours bullish here. But you know, what if we crank this sensitivity up now to 2.5? Like what happens? And not a huge adjustment, but it still looks bullish, right? What if we drop that sensitivity down to 1? Does it change the thesis there? Yeah, a little bit. Like so it's not all like amazing. Like it could go down as well. Like it could be like a little bearish. So you know, maybe you're not bullish on NVIDIA and you're more concerned about it. This is a different look at NVIDIA here on the 1 sensitivity on the 4 hour. And maybe it's struggling to move higher and could be viewed as bearish. This is not my like preferred setup. Again, I really do prefer 2 sensitivity on most of the major assets, especially on timeframes like the hourly, the 4 hour, the daily. Those are the setups that I prefer. But if you do want to look at it from a different mindset, you know, feel free to get into the code there and you know, adjust it from a sensitivity perspective to get to the setup that you're looking at. Like a lower sensitivity is going to be less sensitive to the short-term price movement. If you look at it, NVIDIA has actually been going down for a while, right? NVIDIA hasn't gone up since October. It was at 211. It went from 211 down to 169. That's pretty bearish price action. And it went up a little bit lately, but then on a lower sensitivity, something that's not going to be as sensitive, right? And you double click, I put 0.5, which is the lowest sensitivity, the lowest range on sensitivity. If you think about it logically, right, it's not going to just get so jumpy to just the short-term price action, right? It's going to be a little bit more poised, a little less sensitive, right? Maybe some conservative traders are going to like lower sensitivity. It's going to say, okay, maybe this is not like a full-on buy signal. It could actually go down, right? So maybe you're more conservative. So it's not like telling you to go and it's going to go to 200, but maybe you're a little bit more aggressive and you like the look, you like the new products and stuff. You're, you know, I like kind of 2 for bullish traders. You know, if you're more conservative, maybe you're going to go lower sensitivity. But if you're a little bit more aggressive, a little bit of a higher sensitivity with the short-term momentum, right? Whether it's bearish or bullish momentum, it's going to be more sensitive and in the favor of the shorter term momentum when you have higher sensitivity. So let's just outline this. Higher sensitivity, right, which could be like a range of maybe 1.5 to 2.5, is going to be more aggressive with the short term momentum. And let me just get this in a proper view here. So this is like sensitivity rule number 1 here. The higher the sensitivity, the more aggressive it will be to the short-term momentum. And then the lower the sensitivity, which would be 0.5 to like 1 to 1.5, right? A little bit lower sensitivity there. It will be more conservative with the short-term momentum. And it will go more with like the medium-term momentum. So again, if you're really trying to customize the look, you know, you're looking at a stock, you're looking at Okta, right? Like, why don't we go over to Okta, right? And we'll just go over here and we're looking at this stock and we're like, okay, we want to go aggressive with the short-term momentum because they had good earnings, right? And we're looking bullish on this stock. Then we're going to go with like a 2 sensitivity. We wanted to be more aggressive, bullish, right? 2, 2.5, 1.5, right? Or do you want to be more conservative with it? It would be the other aspect, right? Outside of aggressive, and then you could crank it down to 0.5. So the less aggressive, right? And, you know, it gives you a bullish signal, but it's not as bullish, right? Because it's, you know, this has been rough as well. From May of 2025, this thing went down from 126 all the way to 75, right? So if you want to jump the gun, you know, it's still bullish. So it's going to maybe turn around here, which is why we like it with the earnings. But with that in mind, it's not as clear as maybe a higher sensitivity look there. So depends on, like, I really recommend as you guys mature with the indicators and as you use these more, figure out what sensitivities you prefer, you know, like, and oftentimes it can be very beneficial to look at the not just the aggressive take, but also the conservative take, because, you know, like, even if we like a stock like Nvidia, you know, say something happens with China or Taiwan or something like that, that's always unpredictable, right? You want to understand both sides of the equation. And with the Eagle Algo, although it's not contrarian, it's actually more with the momentum, is how I like to describe Eagle Algo. It's more with the momentum. So it's not really contrarian, it's more with the momentum, right? If you want to go with the momentum, then you know, you want to know maybe the more conservative and more aggressive, and even the more moderate, which would be like a 1 to 1.5 or 1.75 or so. You know, understanding those different takes for different tickers, different time frames, and then also, as we discussed, the higher sensitivity, which loops back into all of that. So that's really the details on the Eagle Algo V6. Let me see if there's any questions here, anything with that. Yeah, I mean, we can look here, like, Kid, on SOC, right? We're in a like a short-term trade here as well. You know, we had shorted the stock with put options, $10 puts here. You know, we're watching this. I was watching, I think the hourly is what I was watching here, and we saw it go up the day we bought it. Maybe we shorted a little early, but we stayed in there because we weren't just trying to day trade. We're looking to fill the downside gap, and then it went down the following day, and then the sell signal came in. I told everybody in the challenge to watch this 1 hour SOC on the Eagle Algo with that sell signal. And because that means that as long as that sell signal is still in there, maybe we go and fill that downside gap, which is what we were watching, right? And then it continued to do so. It's labeled bearish. It's down now 2-3 days in a row, down 11% on the day through the gap. So it doesn't always work perfectly, but that sell signal on that hourly on SOC did materialize, and we've been watching this chart for a while. So you know, it's not always perfect, but, you know, we can adjust the stuff. So, you know, this is a higher sensitivity trade. I would go 2.5. We can look at it at 1. Not really my preferred look on it, but, you know, the 1 sensitivity is actually not that bad either. Nice sell signal there that came in. You know, it's a little too jumpy there. I do prefer like a 2 cents, because this is an aggressive stock where with the short-term momentum on the downside, right? So a little higher sensitivity is what I would do. So little higher sensitivity for more aggressive short-term momentum trades, and then lower sensitivity for more conservative short, or maybe even short/medium to long-term momentum as well. I just want to put that in there as well. So that's Eagle Algo. If you guys have any other questions on that, let me know. Again, the best thing you can do for getting acquainted with these scripts and really helping these scripts bolster your trading is really what I think it does. Personally, that's what it's done for me. I use them every single day, and for all the trades, whether it's the challenge or the growth portfolios or dividend portfolios, I always make sure to look at our indicators, especially if there's something like that I'm going with the momentum or target setting, and we'll talk about contrarian as well. The best thing you can do, though, is practice. Practice makes perfect. We've always talked about for years here at Eagle to practice your charting, practice your analysis, practice your trading, journal your trading. It's the same thing for the Eagle Algo and all the algos for that perspective, is that, you know, get your hands on these things, start, you know, toggling them on your charts, and then start looking at your trades with these indicators, right? And then also adjust these indicators to your liking, as we've discussed, whether it's the ticker or the time frame, which maybe that's what you're kind of coming up with. You can toy with that, right? Whether it's the flow or the alerts, or maybe a ticker that you're just looking at for a trade, you could probably already have that sensitivity and looking at the charts and looking at tickers, time frames, and different types of sensitivity. Now do that for a week, and do it every day for a week, or you know, do it a couple days a week for a month, depending on your schedule, right? And do it for all your trades. And I think you're gonna really feel like you've added an analytical tool to your arsenal that will really assist you in visualizing things, which I know a lot of people are visual learners. I think actually most people are visual learners. I think this is really something that can be in your breadbasket to help you trade and set, whether you're setting levels or generating theses. The multi-confluence momentum scalper indicator is targeted towards day traders and scalpers. So if you're a day trader or a scalper, this is definitely one that would resonate with you. Why don't we go ahead and jump right into this one? What I'm going to do is I'm going to clear the Eagle Algo. So we're going to be done with Eagle Algo for now. We're going to click it, click delete. We'll just move this screen over and we can go to a new ticker, right? And we can look at like SOC, or how about we look at maybe a stock that has a lot of momentum today. I know we're in Palantir on the call side, and this one's moving pretty nicely. So these are going to be some stocks. So like now let's talk about like the day trader mentality, right? So forget about everything we've set up to this point. Now you're a day trader. You show up in the morning and you're looking to make some type of stock or equity or day trade option move or something in some stock. So you're looking for something that's going to go up or go down, and you want to speculate intraday about buying that and then seeing it higher maybe by the afternoon session and selling it, or whether you're just maybe buying it off the open and selling it an hour later. Hopefully you're looking for an upswing, or maybe you're even shorting like a stock that you think is going to go down, and you want to do that. What I would recommend is you go here, click indicators, right? Clear the other indicators under invite only. Now, the one is called multi-confluence momentum scalper, right? You'll click this and you'll see it populate. Should take a second here. Okay, so it loaded. Now it's populated. So, whoa, a lot of stuff came up on the screen, right? So what I would recommend on the momentum scalper, which is what it's called, right? It's for day traders only. It's not for swing traders, not for investors, for day traders only, and it's for scalping. I recommend it on the 30-second. I really prefer it on the 1 minute and really the 3-minute chart. These are the time frames that you need to look at for it. So just like the Eagle Algo, the things that can be customized are, like ticker, and number 2 is time frame. There's no sensitivity thing for the momentum scalper. It's really all about ticker and time frame, which helps make it a little bit more simple. And then I'm just going to be really upfront with you guys. It's for the 30-second, 1 minute, 3 minute, and maybe the 5 to 15-minute chart. You can experiment with it. I haven't seen as good performance from a backtest perspective and a use case perspective on 15-minute, maybe a little bit more in the 5-minute. It's really meant for the ticks. And that's how we've coded it. Again, we worked hard here to code it for the scalping. And I'm going to use it on kind of 2 tickers here. So the first one I'm going to use is SOC, and the other one's going to be Palantir. So SOC, if you take a look at this one, invite only. Again, here, indicator momentum scalper, we'll activate it with more of a sell signal here. Okay. So what you're going to want to do is on the on like the 3-minute, I'm going to use the 3-minute. We can also look at the 1 minute. You're going to want to look at the difference between these stocks, right? So on SOC, you guys know that we've been in like puts on this stock, right? We're bearish on this stock. And that's kind of our underlying thesis, right? We had option flow for that. We have understanding because of Eagle investors alerts and our advisors research that, this is something we wanted to short. It has like 25% short interest, right? So we know that this was on our short day trading watch list, right? And then on Palantir, right, this is on our long day trading watch list because this is like a bullish defense company. This is like a bearish oil company that's like in trouble with the California government or something. So with that in mind, we kind of have our underlying thesis, right? So I want to be very clear. You can't just like show up and be like, hey, momentum scalper, give me a ticker that like is going to make me a ton of money, right? Obviously, like people in day trading are going to be like, have a day trading watch list, right? Like we put this out, Michael puts this out in the commentary channel like pretty much every day. What are the levels? We're always watching Tesla, right? We're watching Palantir, we're watching Nvidia, Apple. These are all day trader stocks, right? And whether you're using options or stocks, you have to kind of go into day trading with that in mind, right? So like, what I'll put here is like day trading watch list from Eagle. Again, it's in the commentary channel for premium subscribers. I know everybody probably looks at that and has their own day trading watch list, but you're expected to come in with a day trading watch list, like long and short, because of like what you're looking at. If you don't have one, you can generate one, obviously. You can obviously just ask us, or you can just kind of go around different tickers, right? And look at this indicator and say, what is looking good, right? And maybe that's a stock that I'm looking at doing it for. So that's something that you could look at. So when you come in with the watch list, then you're going to take a look at you're going to put the indicator on like the 3 minute, the 1 minute, the 30-second. So if you're like this is a long watch list, right? And then for SOC, as we discussed, this is short watch list, right? So we know like if we're going to day trade this, we want to short it, right? And if we want to day trade this, we want to long it, right? So if you know that, you know, or you're just looking to generate that as well, you come to the stock and you want to kind of zoom up. So let's look at Palantir, right? And this is like a really short-term type thing, right? It's going to say, you know, the market moves quick, right? The market moves at 9:30 a.m. Palantir opened up very slightly, then it went down off the open. It was red on the day, right? I think this is the opening candles right here for the day at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time on Wednesday, January 7th, which is today, right? And it went down off the open, then it caught a bid and it went up. So there's like some bulls that went from a new low of the day to a new high of the day off the open, right? Our momentum scalper indicator on the 3-minute chart, which is what it's intended for, has understood because of the way that it's coded, right? Which you can see like it's obviously coded here. There's a lot of things that are in there like ATR, Ichimoku, Bollinger, MACD, RSI, ADX, right? And it's all understanding that, okay, that's a bullish move. We like that. A lot of you guys who have been around for a while understand that, like for day trading strategy, Eagle investors, we like the new high of the day. And then when it, like, you know, if it pulls back off the new high of the day, that could be the loading opportunity for like a runner intraday, right? It doesn't always work, but like, you know, stocks like Palantir, if the market's okay, it can be some of the better setups out there. The momentum scalper indicator has recognized that and recommends to buy. And it kind of buys around, you know, what the first red candle after the big new high of the day, and then it goes down a little bit more to the VWAP, right? The VWAP, that's another buy signal. So kind of buy the dip, right? And then I think when it says to buy the dip, it can also generate target, like TP. TP stands for target price levels. It might not automatically generate it like the Eagle Algo, right? So remember, like if you go to Eagle Algo, it'll generate the take profit levels and the stop loss. It might not show it for you immediately, but what you're expected to do is you're expected to watch the chart develop, right? So like as we go, right, it's like tick, 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 tick. And if you go, especially on like the 1 minute chart, right, it's like, you know, tick, it's ticking very quickly, you know, watch here. And then obviously people, if you were to buy that dip there, you'd watch it. Now this is the 1 minute chart, right? And then it'll eventually say TP1, right? And that's like where you come in and you scalp your profit, right? So if you watch it develop intraday, for example, if you look right now, right, like Palantir went up a lot during the day. Now in the 1 minute, it's kind of coming down off the high of the day. It's 1:55 p.m. Eastern time right now, the beginning pretty much of the morning, or sorry, the afternoon session. And ever since lunch ended, the stock has kind of flipped its momentum, and the Eagle Algo has recognized that and has said, rather than buying it and then getting the rug pulled a little bit on you this afternoon, you could actually try to short it or scalp it. So whether you're shorting shares or you're using put options, or maybe you're just not even trading it, with that in mind, it's like sell as it goes down. TP1, maybe that's where you cover, and then it bounces again, that's where you short again, you know, but keep shorting, you know. Sometimes it'll say short stop, doesn't always mean you have to take it out. Maybe that's a profit for you. It's going to give you signals on the fly, right? It's going to give you signals on the fly where if it tells you to buy, you know, you'll wait for it to expand. It'll take maybe, like, you know, you get into these buy signals off the high of the day here, and it takes an hour or so, like from 10 to 10:30, you're buying the dip here, and then by 11:30, it's saying to take some profit, and then take profit on the way up. Like a lot of still, you can buy and take profit all the way up. So, you know, this is all on the fly. I mean, that's how day trading works. For anybody who's a day trader, I'm sure you understand that's like literally how it works, is that it's on the fly. It's difficult to predict stuff, but that's why the indicator is very sensitive, right? It's like it's going to tell you to go, and then the trend will flip. And then when the trend flips, like, you know, you're going to short on the way down, right? So it's momentum scalper through a multi-confluence approach. Multi-confluence meaning indicator fusion, right? It blends multiple world-class trading methodologies into a cohesive system. It's called fusion there. And that fusion of the indicators allows the indicators to understand the trend even when it flips within minutes, right? And when it flips within hours. And this is why the momentum scalper indicator through a multi-confluence indicator, like, and this is why it works, and this is why it works is on Palantir as well. So it's not always going to be perfect, right? Sometimes there's going to be times where things get stopped out, right? I don't always take it seriously. Like when it says stopped, it really depends on like if you took a position and then where you're at on that position, right? It could say TP1, but maybe there's not enough of a move to make a ton of money. You just get out for break even, right? It could say short stop, but you're in profit, right? There's obviously discretion that has to be used, right? You need to use discretion as a day trader. But like, for example, this sell signal in Palantir, like just came in, like this just came in. So if we were to short it here, then we can watch the ticks, right? And see what happens. Like, maybe it goes up a little bit more. It says sell again, and then it goes down, right? And then it'll say TP, right? Like TP1 here, right? And then that's where you scalp out the profit, right? So I really recommend watching on the 1 minute, the 3 minute. I like the 3 minute personally. It's not as jumpy as the 1 minute. Like I'm not really going to want to short Palantir. I'd rather buy the dip and we rode the momentum. So, if you want to short, maybe you're like on the 1 minute or like the 30-second, right? These are more opportunistic short-term, like, but that's risky, really risky. Depends on your style. I personally like the 3 minute. That's what I would recommend to traders or for the day traders, because this was like a really nice look here. You bought it this morning, went up, you could trim profit on the way up, and then maybe take your full profit when the momentum shifting to the downside. This worked perfectly on Palantir. I was watching it all morning. So momentum scalper on Palantir, that works on the upside. So long watch list, right? How about short watch list, right? We saw Palantir coming down, but SOC, this one was pretty weak off the open, right? It opened this morning, it gapped down, and then this morning it gapped down, and then there's some sell signals that came in on the 3 minute here, like the multi-confluence fusion of all of the indicators of seeing the weakness in the stock, the Ichimoku cloud, the RSI, the ADX, the support resistance, the Bollingers are showing that it's under the moving averages. There's sellers in it, right? We also understand that the price action is like we're looking for the gap, right? We understand that. So we're looking. Talk about the short. Yeah. So if we look at the short here, we're looking at shorting it in the morning session. We sell it. So we take puts, right? Or we're day trading where we short the stock, right? Some people will do that too when day trading. I think actually this indicator works really well when you just buy and short the stock, or you could use margin. A lot of big day traders will like just borrow 1,000 shares, right? And then day trade off of that rather than doing the options with liquidity on lower liquidity stuff. It's risky, but that's another way to day trade. Say you short 1,000 shares or 100 shares or 10 shares, or you buy a put, then it goes down. There's red candles. A lot of people call that, oh, nasty red candles off the open on SOC. You could scalp that with the Eagle Algo, the Eagle Momentum day trading scalper, right? Because of the signals that it's providing, right? On the 1 minute, it's like sell, 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 and short it on the way down, and then cover kind of when it's down. And then all of a sudden there was a bid that came in intraday. So, don't short it anymore, right? Like, maybe you're out or you want to buy, you want to flip, but then the shorts came back in and you can short it early and get in there. It looks like that was a very lucrative short. If you were to sell at 919 or 953, it went all the way down to, wow, 803 intraday from 953. So this is just short-term movements. This is very bearish, but it's just really interesting, right? How this can move so quickly. And because the momentum scalper indicator is meant to scalp very, very short-term momentum, it's able to recognize these really quick intraday trend flips, which is important if you're scalping. So I think this is a very useful indicator. I mean, obviously, if you're day trading, you should probably have multiple screens, right? And you should probably be watching things like option flow on one screen. You should probably be, looking at different types of other day trader like communities, like our Diamond Chat, right? Where we're talking about different types of intraday movements and breakouts and charting, right? And then on your charts, I would really recommend you employ something like this, which can help you understand the momentum, and also help generate setups for you for exits. I think that's really important, is when to take the profit, and also how the momentum is going. It can provide you confirmation, also provides you with setups early in the day, even if it doesn't always materialize, I mean, there's going to be times, like, let me see if I can find a time where this didn't work. You know, there's going to be times where it doesn't work, and there's going to be times where it works tremendously well. But yeah, like for example, like at the end of the day, sometimes, like this is the end of the day on Monday, January 5th, it like gives you a sell signal, right? I wouldn't really day trade at the end of the day, right? Because then there's going to be the next day, right? It's better to use this like in the morning, right? But sometimes this can be tremendously like lucrative. Like I remember Palantir was selling off a lot lately, right? This thing is like a momentum stock. And if this is a momentum indicator, you know, say you get a sell signal in there in the morning, you know, and this thing just like it just continues to go down and down and down, right? And then there's profit taking on the way down. And then say there's, you know, sides the bottom and reverse, then it's buy all the way up. And obviously if you're scalping, it's going with that short-term trend. So it's very with the momentum. It's not contrarian in any regard, right? And it is, and oftentimes if you're early, it can really help you day trade that and get ahead of the trend intraday, right? A lot of people, like, you can make a lot of money day trading if you're like, you get into a stock like Palantir in the morning when it's barely up, and then it goes up 3% or 4% in intraday like it did today, right? If you're in early, that's how you make the money, and then you exit on time, right? It's difficult to do, but I know traders all the time that attempt to do it and also do it successfully. And also sometimes, you know, you lose money too. You don't time it properly. That happens. Everybody understands that happens, but this is an indicator that will help you with that. Again, also SOC, say you short off the open. This thing has gone from 972 to a low of $8 just intraday. That's like like 15% move down intraday. So if you get in early and you trust your judgment and you roll the dice, you know, this indicator can really help you also understand when to exit. So that's about it for the multi-confluence momentum scalper indicator. I hope that was useful, guys. Again, 30-second, 1 minute, 3 minute is what I would recommend. I really like the 3 minute. I really recommend looking at it earlier in the day. And then if you decide to take a trade with the algo, you know, watch it for a TP and kind of watch what it says. I think that's good. And make sure to have a day trading watch list. That's why the Quant Script bundle is best used, in my opinion, with the combination of a premium subscription at Eagle Investors. Not because I'm just saying that. It's because you can get a day trading watch list. You can have a community of traders as well that are trading alongside you, that are looking at the same setups. You have advisors that can check those setups with the Eagle Algo too and kind of walk you through it. And all of that is what it requires, in my opinion, to be truly successful, is a mix of kind of all of those resources, in addition to intellect and discipline, which is an important trait for a day trader, right? So that's about it there for day trading. Let's go to the last indicator of the day now. So again, just a quick review. Out of the 3 scripts, we've gone through the Eagle Algo V6, that's script 1. We've gone through multi-confluence momentum scalper, script 2. Now we're on to the last script, which best for last, in my opinion. I mean, all of them are great, but I love the Eagle Investors Contrarian Momentum plus Fixed SR script. And when I say it's my favorite indicator, it's not because it's the coolest looking one, or it's the like the, you know, the coolest one to trade with. Honestly, that cake would probably go to the Eagle Algo or the scalper indicator. Those are pretty cool if you ask me. But I think the contrarian one is cool because I don't know, maybe I'm a little bit of a nerd, right? I think being a nerd is not a bad thing. With that in mind, you know, I'm a little bit of a nerd. I like the contrarian thought process. Some of the best traders I know, like who I've worked with for years, love the contrarian mindset and like doing what the common trader would not want to do, right? Or something like that. So with that in mind, why don't we go to a stock? I don't know, maybe somebody wants to look at a stock, but I don't know if you guys have a stock you want to look at, but we could look at a stock like, I don't know, maybe we look at JP Morgan or something like that. Yeah, JP Morgan could be a good stock to look at. This is a day trader, swing trader stock. We are invested as well. Let's go look at JP Morgan. So clean chart here. What we're going to do is we're going to click indicators. We're going to click contrarian momentum under invite only. And it will populate here. Okay. And so what you see here very clearly is you'll see some Bollinger Bands and a moving average that is gold. So this is the gold color, right? So if you click the algo, you'll see that You also see some very simple buy and sell signals. I want to be very clear about the contrarian momentum indicator. It does not provide level setting. Okay, so in the Eagle Algo and also the momentum scalper, they will set automated levels like stop losses and price targets in their own way, right? They're coded to do that. The momentum, contrarian momentum, does not do that. However, the contrarian momentum indicator does do fixed SR. If you remember what it's called, right? Script 3 of 3 is the contrarian momentum plus fixed SR, right? Fixed SR is equal to support and resistance, which I think about as demand and supply for shares, right? That's what I would say. And with that in mind, the green dots. So you see these dotted green lines, right? Like, let me show you here. This dotted green line that's starting right here, right? And it's going dot, 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 dot here. That is a support level. So support is green dotted equals support, right? And then red dotted, which I don't know if there's much red dotted on JP Morgan. I think it's at an all-time high, so there's not much resistance. But let me see if I can find resistance here. Let's go here to, you can just go to like Palantir here. Let's go at the 4-hour. Let's go on the contrarian momentum indicator. Yeah, and then you'll see this like red dot, dot, dot here, right? That's resistance, right? So red dot, 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 dot. That is resistance equals red dotted line, right? That's all automated, right? So I know like a lot of people like spend a lot of time. I mean, I know a trader on the West Coast who gets up at like, I think it's 3:30 a.m. Pacific time, because that's 6:30 a.m. Eastern time, and works from 3:30 a.m. To 6:30 a.m. the market open, and is drawing support and resistance lines on every chart and creating a day trading watch list, right? I think that's like very intensive and like probably not great for the sleep schedule there, right? And why do you have to do that when the momentum indicator can just do that for you, right? So this script does that for you. It'll provide the largest and most important resistance and support lines. You can harvest that at your preference. We'll see about maybe we can provide like a dashboard that provides that as well. But with that in mind, I think that's useful, right? The fixed SR. But really the thesis of the contrarian momentum script is when something is very bearish or very like there and it's selling off, right? A lot of the time, like short-term opportunistic people will short it, or like, you know, people who are not as experienced may panic, especially if it's like a really good asset, like say it's Nvidia or gold or JP Morgan or something that's like something that's going to probably do pretty well, right? Depending on market conditions, of course. People will panic sell in the market. It happens all the time, right? A lot of the time, if you really zoom out in the market, people who buy the fear and then sell the greed, which is what like people like Warren Buffett, what they say, which is a contrarian mentality, can be really a very lucrative investor mentality. And it can also translate into swing trading, even day trading as well. But that's a really interesting thought process. And that is the thought process that dominates the contrarian momentum indicator, right? So how this is coded is that it's coded similar to the other indicators like the Eagle Algo and the multi-momentum confluence, where it says identify the momentum, identify if there's sellers or buyers, right? However, rather than saying if it's going up, maybe that's a good setup, it's with the momentum, it's against the momentum. So it's always the contrarian, right? So you know, I don't need to repeat it anymore, but you know, let's look at it in practice, right? JP Morgan stock today is down 2.4%. Oof, that's pretty rough, especially when there's some stocks out there that are up. You know, Google stock is up almost 3%. Palantir stock's up 2 to 3% as well, right? So JP Morgan is very bearish today. You know, a lot of maybe shorter term traders say you just entered the market yesterday. You're like, oh my God, it's bearish. And now I'm down because I bought the other day. I'm going to panic sell, right? And you're going to lose money and then probably quit the market. That's probably not the way to trade, not the way to invest. The way to invest is to look at the lower price and say, wow, actually maybe better to buy the dip, right? So today, when JP Morgan is down, you know, rather than panic selling it, look to buy the dip. That's what the contrarian momentum indicator is saying. And, you know, maybe you take a look at call options, 330, 335 calls, or maybe you want to buy the stock or whatever it may be. But rather than panic selling it, it would actually be a buy the dip opportunity. And it depends on the time frame you're looking at. I really recommend looking at like the hourly, the 4-hour, the daily. I really like the hourly personally for the contrarian momentum indicator, but it depends on what I'm looking at. You can customize it with ticker. You can customize it with time frame. You cannot customize it with sensitivity. The Eagle Algo is the only indicator of the bunch of the current bundle that you can customize with sensitivity. However, you can do ticker and time frame. So JP Morgan, if you look at this, every time it said to buy the dip, right? Like on Tuesday, December 16th before Christmas, JP Morgan was down. We said to buy the dip, right? And then it looks like it took a couple days, but then it reversed very nicely to a new high. And then there was a lot of momentum in the stock, right? Everybody was buying it. It was like up 3 days in a row, right? 1, 2, 3. If we had bought a call, we'd be up. The stock moved from 313 all the way up to 325. $12 jump in the stock just in about a week's time, right? So longs are in profit. Now that there's so much momentum in the stock, right? A newer trader is going to get there and be like, oh, now like we get a lot of questions about this from like newer trial members and things like that. And people come into Eagle, the stock's up 3 days in a row. Hey, Sean, like, can I buy calls on this? And then a lot of the more rugged traders who have been around for a little bit more time are like, yeah, like even if it's a good stock, I'm not going to chase it. Like I'm not going to chase it. Actually, I'm going to look to sell into the strength, especially if I was buying on the dip, right? So the contrarian momentum indicator is extremely poised and tells you to sell, right? So you buy the dip and sell the rip, and then it goes up a little bit more. Okay, that's fine. And then it tops out a little bit, and then now the sellers are back in it. People are panicking again, but then that's where you go and buy the dip, and then once again it went up a ton. I'm not really telling you to sell it, so it's not perfect, right? It doesn't always tell you to sell perfectly, but now it's back down again. It's another buy signal, right? So the question is now off of this buy signal, and maybe they'll take a couple days, but this could go back up. And that looks like a pretty nice setup there for JP Morgan. So this is a beautiful indicator. Again, we can go between different tickers and time frames. Like, why don't we look at why don't we look at a stock like Google or something, or like Okta? Yeah, I mean, like it's pretty straightforward here on something like Google on the hourly, right? Like Google was pretty bearish. It was going down from 328 down to 296. Really a lot of buy signals on that dip. And then as it went up more, especially today, it's more on the sell side. So it depends on what you're looking at. But I do recommend watching this here on like different tickers. As the momentum is more greedy, it's going to say to take your profit, which I'm actually looking to more take my profit here on Google, right, on the sell. But I was buying it when it was more on the dip, right? So it's all about buy the dip, sell the rep. The contrarian momentum indicator is extremely useful there. And I've talked about this one for a long time, so I won't bore you guys with too much more. I think that it can be like really my favorite setup on the contrarian momentum indicator right now is on Bitcoin. So if we look at IBIT, for example, and we look at like a longer time frame here, I really like longer time frames on it. Like this is the 2-day chart, or like the weekly or the daily. Let's look at the 2-day on IBIT. Really important asset for us in a lot of our portfolios. Bitcoin was very expensive. It was like $127,000 right before it topped out and went all the way back down to $80,000. Everybody was panic selling Bitcoin at $70,000, $80,000, $90,000, but the contrarian momentum signal, which is coded pretty much like AI, it's hard coded there to tell you to do the opposite, right? And to recognize the fear as an opportunity, is telling you to buy the dip. So I would be shocked at this point if Bitcoin doesn't bottom off of this support. Look at that fixed SR line too, right here. This dotted green line here at 43, like right at 43. That's like a nice stop loss area, right? For the support, I would be bullish on Bitcoin above that support, especially with the contrarian momentum buy signals. Bitcoin is actually a great asset to go contrarian on. So when everybody's fearful, that's when you buy it. When people are greedy, that's when you sell it. Not always, but that's how it can be. And right now there's a lot of fear. That's what you would buy is on the fear on the 2-day chart for the contrarian momentum indicator. So it can be very useful for larger rotations and contrarian rotations. Another stock is like Melly here. And Melly, we're watching this one. I'd look at, I don't know, like a daily or something like that, or maybe a weekly. Depends on what you look at. Yeah, I like the weekly. So you can toggle the ticker, the time frame. As you saw, I just did that on the fly. But on the weekly chart here, Melly was up a lot. We made a lot of money on Melly. I think it was the last year or two because we bought it down here. We were selling it up here. And then it came back down from 2,600 down to like 2,000 or 1,900. And we had buy signals that were coming in and we bought the dip, and then it's been going up lately. This could probably go up as well. So yeah, this is a nice look on the weekly chart on Melly, contrarian momentum indicator. And that's how I love to use it. This is why it's one of my favorites, because big money moves like Bitcoin on the 2-day on the weekly, like you see right here on the weekly, or Melly on the 2-day on the weekly. We're seeing really nice setups on the contrarian momentum indicator. I think there's tremendous opportunity in that. So I'll talk to you guys soon about it. But that's we'll see how these setups go. And maybe if you're watching this video in a couple months, maybe they materialize, maybe they haven't materialized. I recommend maybe you go check them and check the setups and also experiment yourself to see what works and what doesn't work, and that's what will make it perfect. So we'll continue to develop these indicators. Again, we have 3 right now, but we're going to probably add another one for SPX. So if you're in the current Eagle Algo, I would recommend you continue with it and continue to use it, because we'll only increase and improve them. If we do upgrade the Eagle Algo to a V7, or we upgrade the momentum scalper to like a V2, or contrarian momentum into a V2, we'll always let you know and update it. If you're on the Quant Scripts, you're not going to have to pay for an upgraded version. You're going to be grandfathered into that, of course. So it makes sense to stick with that product. And with that in mind, I think that's about it. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to put it in the comments below, or reach out to our team you can do it in the Discord or via email. Our email is info@eagle-investors.com. You can email us at any time about questions for the script. We also do give demos. You want to trial the script for like a couple days, we'll allow you to do that. However, if you'd like to just have it at all times, it's very economical. It only costs $16 for the first month, and then it renews at $47. And whether you're using that with a premium subscription or not, it's just a really great tool to have. And I hope I made it make sense today, because it's quite complicated on the inside. And I think knowing the history behind it, the ins and outs about them, and also the development behind them, which the details I gave you about that, I think that's important to understand the value behind them. And I hope I made that very clear today. So thank you for your guys' time, and make sure to like and comment below, and I'll talk to you guys soon. This is Ashawn at Eagle Investors for the Quant Script pro tip and tutorial for the bundle. Thank you so much.